Moving on.
Here goes the bell. Now one.
Ding dinger. I'd like to call to order the April 11th, 2023 Columbia Borough Council meeting. Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilperson Zink.
Here.
Councilperson Kaufman.
Here.
Councilperson Stahl.
Here.
Councilperson Fisher.
Here.
Councilperson Price. Here. Councilperson Littner.
Here.
Councilperson Bernard.
Here.
Mayor Litz.
Here.
All right. Would anybody care to offer an invocation? If you would like, please rise.
Let's pray. Father God, thank you for this day. Thank you for the sunshine and the beautiful weather. And thank you for every person who is not only here in this room, but for every resident living in the borough. Lord, we just ask that as the meeting progresses and discussion begins and concludes, that grace and mercy will reign. And Lord, just provide energy and sustain the leaders, elected and otherwise, as they make decisions and as action plans are developed and carried out. We just ask for energy and sustenance so the community can continue to grow in the best ways possible. We thank you, and in your name we pray. Amen.
Paula, please lead us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Announcement of executive and information sessions, number none. Additions, deletions, or reorganization of the agenda. I would like to move number 9, presentation, up directly after approval of the agenda. Other than that, I have nothing, no changes. Anyone else? No? Could I have a motion to approve the reorganized agenda?
So moved.
Second. I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Price, to approve the amended agenda. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. And with that, we have number 9. Chief Brommer, take it away. You have some good news for us.
Good evening. This evening we are here to recognize 2 of our officers, Officer Brian Kaiser and Officer Nate Miller, if they would come forward. And to assist me with the presentation this evening will be Mayor Leo Lutz, Chief Adam Martin with Penn State Lifeline, and Corporal Dave Souders with Columbia Police. The Columbia Borough Police Department is made up of wonderful men and women who have dedicated their lives to protecting and serving our community. These officers have been committed to working tirelessly to make it a better place. However, from time to time, our officers exceed expectations with heroism or bravery outside the norm. And sometimes their actions change the course of someone's life, which brings us to tonight's presentation. Officer Brian Kaiser is a veteran officer with over 20 years of service as of this past January. Officer Nate Miller, who was hired in 2022 with just under a year of service. On Saturday, March 11th, 2023, at approximately 8:45 a.m., Officers Kaiser and Miller will change the course of a resident and his family's life forever. Details of the incident are as follows, and these are in the words of their supervisor, Corporal Dave Souders. On March 11, 2023, Officers Brian Kaiser and Nate Miller responded to a cardiac arrest dispatch of a 36-year-old male who had just collapsed. Officers Kaiser and Miller promptly responded and arrived first on scene. The caller was performing chest compressions upon their arrival. Officer Miller prepared and applied the AED, while Officer Kaiser checked the patient's vitals and took over performing CPR. Shortly after attaching the AED, the device charged, and Officer Miller delivered a shock to the patient. CPR continued, and the patient started breathing and regained consciousness. The patient remained conscious and stable and was transported to the hospital by ambulance. According to the corporal, Officer Brian Kaiser and Officer Nate Miller's quick response, less than 3 minutes from the time of dispatch, the application of the AED and the CPR saved the life of the patient. So at this time, Officer Kaiser and Officer Miller, you are receiving this letter of commendation in recognition of your heroic, life-saving actions at the scene of the cardiac arrest in the 500 block of North 2nd Street in Columbia, Pennsylvania on March 11, 2023. It is due to your prompt action, proper use of medical training, and determination that a human life was saved. So can you present that to him? Mayor, if you would present this to Officer Kaiser. Based on your actions during this incident, you will be receiving letters of commendation and a life-saving award as well. And the chief will present the life-saving award.
All right, thank you. So I don't know if all of you know, there was about 350,000 cardiac arrests pre-hospital every year, and only about 10% are discharged from the hospital with good neurological outcome. What these two gentlemen did helped save a life, and we congratulate you for that. So we have Penn State Lifeline EMS has certificates for both of you. And then I also have Save Bars for you folks. Thank you. Good job. Good job.
Paula, can you get a quick photo?
Yes.
We stand over here?
Sure. Come over here and stand by the, you know what I mean? Oh, yeah.
You know, about a year in, you got a heck of a job to try to do this better.
I'll try.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Just one more thing.
You know, this is, what these guys did is indicative of why it's so important to have a local police department. So many times, and in the 22 years that I've been around here, this has happened time and time again, where these guys arrive first on scene. And it's not because of of EMS's failure or anything like that there. It's that they're riding around, they're out patrolling, and they're already mobile and possibly within a block or two or whatever have you of the area, as was indicated. 3 minutes they were there on the scene. So these guys not only work to keep you safe as far as you and your property safe, as far as from crime, they work to keep you safe health-wise. So I think it's important to note that they are more than just enforcement officers. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right. Next, citizen comment on agenda items only. The first item we have is Austin, is it Mountain?
Yes. Good evening. My name is Austin Mountain. I'm with Peaceful Homes Property Management. We manage roughly around 130 units in the borough currently. And I'm here to ask the council to consider allowing the borough to send us licensing fees and fines directly to our office rather than have them go to the owners and then having them forward to us. We find that it would be a lot more effective in getting these paid in a more efficient manner, and in the manner of where it comes to fines, your goal isn't only to get your fine paid, but is to get it corrected. And the sooner we know about it, I can get somebody here within 24 hours typically. I know the pushback I've gotten has been that the fines or the fees are levied or leaned against the property. It's the same thing with all utilities in all boroughs throughout the county, all the city. They have us sign either their own PMAs or we send our own management agreement, and we'd be happy to have our owners and us sign off stating that they are ultimately responsible. But we'd like to have the council consider allowing owners to elect to have rental license fees, inspection fees, and any fines sent directly to their management company so they can be handled in a more effective manner.
Thank you.
Madam President, if I may, that's a good idea. I didn't want to let that go without any discussion.
Yeah.
I know so many times, and Paula can probably chime in, so many times it's hard to get a hold of the property owner. But if there's a property manager, usually they're, well, by code, they're within a certain distance and they're more readily available and able to take care of it. So rather than this stuff go weeks and the grass continues to grow and the trash continues to build up, whatever have you, we can, as Mr. Mountain said, you can address it within 12, 24 hours. We're better off and the borough's better off. So I think this is a real good idea and council needs to look at it. Evan, I'm sure it wouldn't be hard to put something together there.
Well, no. We just have to look at what our code says and what our procedures are and go from there. I mean,
what I'll say is this is that legally we have to send it to the property owner.
correct.
But that does not mean that you can't send a copy to them for sure. I mean, there's
Right.
they do that in almost all my other municipalities that have rental license ordinances. So,
Right.
that's something that's easily changeable. And it can be a more efficient outcome for everyone.
Yep. The next sign-up we have is Brad Chambers.
Good evening. My name is Brad Chambers. I am a Columbia Borough resident running for Columbia Borough Council. And I would like to discuss the work session last week. During the work session, reforming the handicap parking policy was discussed, and it was stated by Councilperson Stahl and others that if this is to be done, it should be on a case-by-case basis, taking into account relevant details such as the area which the space is in and the size of the vehicle, which I believe to be a prudent strategy, so thank you for those insightful comments. However, I'd like to address Vice Council President Kaufman. You stated that there are too many handicapped parking spaces in Columbia, and you even went as far as comparing handicapped parking spaces to permit parking while laughing. Councilperson Kaufman, do you believe your comments to be insensitive? And would you like to apologize to Columbian citizens who may have been offended by your conduct?
Well, answer.
You don't have to answer.
No, I have no problem answering. I said what I said. I do believe there's too many spaces, and I could probably identify at least 2 out of 4 on one block that they're saying there's only 105 spaces in Columbia Borough used for, and 2 of those 4 on my block. I can identify as they don't need the handicap spaces anymore. They were received from medical treatment, and that medical treatment is no longer needed. So that is my question. Do I believe that all people are abusing the system? Absolutely not. Do I think it's fair that people keep it on and they don't need it, take advantage of it? No, I don't think that's fair either. My concern is not with the people, but with our system and how we're verifying that they still need it. I don't have a problem with handicap parking. I have a problem with abuse of handicap parking.
Do you have any data to back up this alleged abuse?
I'm not going to do anything in public with you on this. I know the residents, and it's not fair to them.
I'm asking for the resident.
Now, that's the data.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
All right. Minutes for approval. Could I have a motion to approve the Borough Council meeting minutes for March 28th, 2023?
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Stahl, to approve the Borough Council meeting minutes for March 28th, 2023. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Next, could I have a motion to approve the Borough Council, the minutes for the Borough Council work session for April 4th, 2023?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Stahl, to approve the meeting minutes for the Borough Council work session from April 4th, 2023. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Next, presentation and acceptance of reports. The first we have is community development. Councilperson Kaufman.
I'd like to acknowledge the receipt of the zoning and planning reports for March 2023. That's all I have.
Public Works and Property, Councilperson Stahl.
Yeah, I'd like to acknowledge the Public Works and Property report for March 2023.
Safety Communications, Councilperson Lagarde.
I'd like to acknowledge the receipt of public safety reports for March 2023, including the Columbia Borough Police Department, Penn State Health Lifeline, Columbia Borough Fire Department, the Codes Compliance Report, and the EMOC report. I would also ask if Adam Martin could come to the podium and share a few remarks.
Sure. Hi, good evening again. So I just wanted 2 things. I wanted to give you an update on how we're doing at Penn State Lifeline. We haven't given you an update in a while. We have been blessed with employees. I hear the job market, people having trouble filling positions. We've been very blessed since we went over to Penn State. So we have all our units that were in service, plus our West Hempfield ambulance is now 24/7. And that is second due into Columbia Borough. On top of that, we have an ambulance 777, which is a street ambulance that sits on the corner of Columbia Avenue and Rohrstown Road. That ambulance is basically 5 days a week, and we're going to be going to adding 1 weekend, so for 12 hours. And then about 2 to 3 days a week, we have a 779 in service. That's based out of the call sign is out of the hospital, LMC. But what we do with that unit is we have a room, so when there's a unit goes out, if the Columbia unit goes out, and they're not on a call, we'll have them transfer to Columbia Borough. In March, our missed call rate went down to 109 calls. That is amazing from about 200 a couple of years ago. So down to 109 missed calls for our whole service area is just amazing. So we do have some employees going to med school in the summer or becoming a paid firefighter, but we have employees training as well, so they'll be able to fill the holes. The only concern I have with Columbia Borough, and I've talked to Chief Brommer, there is a resident at one of the senior apartments that we're struggling with, and if any of you folks can help with some ideas, since January 10th, he has called the EMS 38 times. All with the chief complaint of chest pain. He goes to, we work him up, he gets a 12 lead, he gets aspirin, he gets an IV, we transfer him to the hospital, and he's discharged within an hour or two. He'll walk out to the ambulance eating Doritos, Fritos. I have tried calling his sister, I have called a counselor in Philadelphia where he used to live. I have called the Department of Aging, I've called Behavioral Health, I have spoken with the resource person at the building, I've talked to the hospital staff, and there's really nothing, our hands are tied. So, and we cannot transport him to a hospital, we have to. So if you folks know of any resources, because not only, you know, yes, we're probably not going to be paid, but he's tying up an ambulance and other citizens will not have an ambulance available. So I think we transported 38 times. I think Northwest transported a couple and Lemsa transported a couple. So I don't know, we don't know what else to do. I have spoken to him 3 times. I went to one of his apartment with one of the officers and spoke with him. I just don't think he comprehends what's going on. So if you folks know of any help that could assist us to help him.
Adam, may I ask?
Yes.
If the Office of Aging, why couldn't they?
They said there's nothing they can do for him. He doesn't require their assistance. He's able to dress himself, feed himself, but he has canceled his doctor's appointments several times. He bought a TV instead of buying his medications. So we're struggling, and I get very frustrated. So, you know, when I called him, I'm like, how can we help you? Because the ambulance and the hospital is not a cardiologist. If you're having chest pain, you need a cardiologist. And then I also told him I was concerned because with all the bills, Medicare is eventually going to stop paying, and he'll be evicted. And, you know, that doesn't benefit him.
Adam, thank you for that information. I'll get with Chief Bromer and hopefully we can get with you and have further discussion on this.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked when I saw the response time, like, it dropped way down.
It dropped down in all our municipalities. Yeah.
It's really great.
It's been good so far. Yes. Thank you.
A few weeks ago, I had a call at 5 o'clock in the morning. They were right there with me and took care of me. So.
Great. That's good to hear. Thank you.
I told them to tell you hi.
They did, but I can't say it. That's HIPAA, you know?
I said hi.
They did. Well, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, have a good evening.
Todd, I have a question for you on the emergency operations thing. It says in there that under miscellaneous information, attended the Borough Safety Committee meeting on Wednesday, March 22nd.
Yes.
But we don't have a safety committee, correct?
We don't have a public safety committee.
There was a safety meeting among all of the folks that represent the different agencies here. Yeah.
So we have an internal safety committee that is the fire department, police, EMS, our emergency management coordinator, and we talk about safety related issues. We've talked about mobile EOC, we talk about special events when they're coming up, we take on big projects. So it's an internal working meeting, not a public facing safety committee.
And we meet quarterly.
Yeah.
So what are the qualifications that would make it a public meeting? What would be different than this to make it have to be public by sunshine?
By sunshine law, and we can jump in, it doesn't contain a quorum of elected officials or a quorum of an established committee. Like 5 people from the planning commission can't get together to talk about this. These are members of random organizations, not random, but different organizations getting together.
Much more similar to a staff meeting, even though not everyone who's there is a borough staff, but that's essentially what it is. It's a staff meeting that wouldn't have to be, yeah.
So should we be using the word committee? Is that? Just.
I mean, everything that's a committee doesn't mean that it's part of the borough as well, so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right,
Yep.
thank you.
Any other questions on those things? Personnel. Councilperson Price.
I would like to acknowledge a resignation from Sergeant James P. Jacobs Jr. and the resignation from the SRO Joe Hopta.
And the resignation from Jacobs, I just want to point out, it's actually a retirement. So it's not a resignation like people think resignation. He's actually retiring, so look for more coming on that.
Can I ask if the plan is to hire another SRO?
We are having meetings now to talk about the future,
Okay.
so I'm not certain what direction we're headed in at this time.
And Sergeant Jacobs' retirement that's in works. Correct, Chief? Should be possibly June? July.
All right. Next, Mayor Lutz, Chief Brummer.
Yeah, I'm going to ask the chief to chime in on most of this. I'm just going to hit a couple of highlights. But first off, before I get into that, weather's changing. It's getting nice. Going to be yard sale time. Paul up. And a reminder to the residents that it is illegal to put signs on borough property. That's the street poles, light poles, traffic light standards, whatever have you. When you put that stuff on there, telephone poles, if you tack it on there and you pull it off, next thing you know, you got nails, tack screws in there, and someone's going to get hurt. A child could get hurt getting up against that in a telephone pole. Plus, it's illegal to do that. And on our poles, it's also illegal. And when the tape is pulled off, it pulls the paint off. So then we got to pay to repaint. And the truth of the matter is, if you look around and you see these 8.5 by 11 signs for a yard sale, and you're driving down the street, you can't read it. So I just want to remind folks that if you're going to have a yard sale, put the sign on your property. And the other two things that have the chief chime in on is the Adopt a Block program is underway. I think we have 8 or 10 families signed up already, and I think a couple in the works. So if you want to adopt a block, contact the borough, and we'll see you get the paperwork. And Chief, the spring cleanup.
Yes, we are once again, for the second year, we're asking for volunteers to help out with the annual Columbia Cleanup Day. That will take place on Friday, April 21st from 8 a.m. to noon. Please meet at the Locust Street Park by 8 a.m. and we will give out assignments and separate everyone into teams and clean up this town. So thank you.
And further information will be on what, Todd?
Text my gov.
Yes.
Right.
And we will have gloves and bags so that you can use. And Jake will go around and pick up the filled up bag. Okay, Jake? That's all, Madam President.
All right. Next, we have an action item to consider the drop application for Chief Brommer. We did not have any of the paperwork,
No,
so,
just because it contains confidential information, et cetera.
Right.
So.
so this is, the drop is it's basically submitting paperwork saying he is going to retire sometime within the next, what is it?
3 years.
3 years. And it's in the contract. He still gets paid, but doesn't contribute to his pension. It's a way to extend his service while taking advantage of some of the retirement benefits as well early. Again, this is in the contract that he can do this. He has to be in there for a minimum of 12 months before retirement, but then it can be after that he could retire. So this is the application for that. Per the contract, council has to approve the drop application, saying that we agree for him to enter the drop. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? Could I have a motion to approve the drop application for Chief Broner?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilperson Brigard, second by Councilperson Price, to approve the drop application for Chief Broner. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Next.
If I could, please. I just want to thank Chief for his years of service here. And I thank you, Chief, for giving us 3 more years to build a plan to transition out. But I just want to publicly say, your job is difficult. And you've handled it well over the years. And people don't look behind the curtain enough to see the stuff that you deal with, I deal with, staff deals with on a daily basis. And so I just want to publicly thank you for your time and service and for the continued service that we'll have to work together to continue to keep this town safe. So thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Next, could I have a motion to authorize the bill payments?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Stahl, to authorize the bill payments. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? I didn't see any. I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Stahl, to approve the bill payments. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Next, I have a motion to approve the revised 2023 fee schedule to include special event fees for for-profit businesses per the attached fee schedule.
So this is what we talked about when we went through it at the workshop. These are the fees that we had presented at the time. We are just simply rolling them into the adopted fee schedule. I don't think anything's changed since last time we presented it.
These fees apply then to any applications, if approved, after the approval, not prior to the adoption of these fees.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
going forward. Do I have a motion to approve the revised fee schedule?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilperson Brigard and a second by Councilperson Stahl to approve the revised 2023 fee schedule to include special event fees for for-profit businesses per the attached document. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? New business, consider authorization of staff to hire Jay Barninger for the position of part-time crossing guard. Does this give us a full complement now?
Getting there.
Getting there? Well, it's almost the end of the school year, so I
It is,
mean,
it is.
like,
Certain crossing guards, Jay would be an example of it. He's able to fill in periodically, so not take the full-time role, if you will.
I would just like to acknowledge Jay's commitment to the borough.
Yeah.
He is a busy man. He has a life outside of borough volunteer tasks, but he is very active. He loves this borough. He emergency management coordinator. He serves as I think the chair of the Republican committee. Yes. crossing guard. You gotta admire Jay's commitment, his enthusiasm, and yeah, I think we'd all maybe emulate Jay a little bit better. How about it?
Yep.
Thank you, Jay.
I do want to note that the executive brief for this says that there's an attachment of the redacted application of employment, and it was not included.
Yeah, I have full, because, the same reason with.
And that's fine, I just wanted to make sure
I missed
that,
that one. Yeah,
you know, we were right, that we were seeing it correct.
yeah, sorry about that.
Okay. Could I have would anyone like to make a motion to authorize staff to hire Jay Barninger for position of part-time crossing guard?
So,
I have a motion by Councilperson Brigard, second by Councilperson Kaufman, to authorize staff to hire Jay Barninger for the position of part-time crossing guard. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Next, consider acceptance of filing a notice of intervention for the property located at 732 Chestnut Street. Evan, would you like to talk to us about that?
Absolutely. So this is the appeal from the zoning hearing board decision regarding 732 Chestnut Street. And that was the one that has the Airbnb in that property. They've appealed that decision that denied them the ability, the variance to put that Airbnb in there. And so at this point, the borough needs to respond if you would like to. The zoning hearing board, in a weird quirk of Pennsylvania law, if they were to appeal or try to defend their decision, can only defend their decision at the Court of Common Pleas level. They can't take it any further to the Commonwealth Court or the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. So in most cases, if you want to defend that decision of the zoning hearing board, the borough would be the one that would take over that appeal. So that's what we're asking you here to do here today. Is the notice of intervention basically just tells the court, hey, the borough is going to take this on, rather than the zoning hearing board. So whether you want to do that is it's a decision for you to make. I think that the opinion of the board was pretty clear, but I will let that up to you. But that's what we're asking for here tonight. We have to file that within 30 days of when they filed that appeal, so we have to make a decision this evening if you want to do this. Yes.
Question for you. Mm-hmm. This is in relation to a decision by the zoning hearing board.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. As I read through that, and I remember this case, there was also questions to work that was done on the property, it being in the historic district. If the borough takes this on, can that come into play?
No, this is just for the variance. It does not have anything, not to say that we couldn't, pursue that separately, but that is not what this would be about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing is there are 5 factors needed to allow this to happen, and I didn't see them.
I disagree with you at all.
I saw a very slim notation to trying to sell it for a little while and wasn't successful. My words are, what I'm getting at is, I think the zoning hearing board acted properly, and I believe the borough should represent this case.
I agree. The zoning hearing board is, the whole point of granting a variance is they have to show that there is a hardship to not granting the variance, and there was no hardship shown. It can be used for its intended purpose, which is a single-family dwelling. It could also be used for a rental, a long-term rental. By no means did they show that this was the only use for that building. So I believe that the zoning hearing board also acted appropriately. Evan, I did have one question though. I noticed Is it an issue that one member of our zoning hearing board did not sign
No.
that thing? Okay.
No.
Does anyone else have any questions, comments, concerns?
I agree with that as well, that we need to.
I would just echo Evan's words too, that this is one that staff would like to pursue. Not that we are against short-term rentals. I, stand firm to my opinion that in the right location, in the right place, properly monitored, I think it could be a benefit to this community. This community and you as a board have not yet decided if you wanted them in such a residential district. If you change that, that's one thing. At this point, based on our current laws, our policy and our statement is that they're not allowed there. And I would say we need to uphold our zoning laws.
When I was reading through this, I think I recall them citing another property where variance was granted.
Yeah, the one on Locust Street.
Is that what it was, Locust Street? I
Yeah.
can't find it in here now. But can you tell me a little bit about that property and why that one was given the variance?
That's the house in the 600 block of Locust Street, right across from the cemetery. They presented a case before the zoning hearing board, and the zoning hearing board felt that the use variance was justified in that case, and they granted it. And that's the zoning hearing board's prerogative to do that. They looked at the location, they looked at parking, they looked at impact to the neighborhood, and they felt it was okay there.
And wasn't that pretty close to the cutoff where it was allowed?
Correct. It was almost, I wouldn't say adjacent to, but it was close to the district where they are allowed.
Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns? All right. Did anyone want to make a motion to accept the filing of the notice of intervention for the property located at 732 Chestnut Street? And do I have a second?
Sorry.
I have a motion by Councilperson Fisher, second by Councilperson Kaufman, to accept the filing a notice of intervention for the property located at 732 Chestnut Street. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Next, we have the application for the Thunder on the River Car Show for June 17th of this year. This is another one of those yearly things. I did want to point out, I was very pleased to see the approximate cost to the borough listed on the executive brief. I did ask Mark, and I'll ask Chief and Jake, let's keep an eye on this, and then after the fact, we want to see how close we were, so we can tweak this going forward, because I think it's important to be able to show people that there is a cost to the borough for this, and this is where your tax dollars are going, We're supporting these events and everything else. So I think that's important to show. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns on this one? Does anyone want to motion to approve the Lions Club to host their annual Thunder on the River Car Show on Saturday, June 17th, 2023?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilperson Lintner, second by Councilperson Price, to approve the Columbia Lions Club to host their annual Thunder on the River Car Show on Saturday, June 17th, 2023. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Staff reports, comments, and announcements. Solicitor Gator.
Not too much to not too much to report this evening. We will have your first quarter lien report at your April 25th meeting, so we'll take a look at that, but we certainly are making some progress on getting some things out there. I will mention one other thing. We are having our municipal baseball game on Friday, May 12th. There's an RSVP date of April 28th. I will send you those invitations via email here shortly, so we can get those out. But that's all I have for this evening.
Awesome. Engineer Ronaldo.
Sorry.
A couple quick comments tonight, just as some project updates. We are continuing to move through the PennDOT approvals needed for the Walnut Street project. Our scoping form was approved last month. We have prepared and submitted a safety review plan to PennDOT, which is the plan that you guys saw about a month ago. So that form was completed and submitted. We are also working through some of the environmental clearances we need, which we were happy to hear from the scoping form. They are not requiring full-blown studies. Believe it or not, I had to fight with them. They wanted me to do a wetland certification on Walnut Street. So cooler heads prevailed there. We don't need to do
Well,
that.
I remember the mud coming up this. The guy, Jake probably does too.
Right.
At 11 from Walnut.
So,
It could be wetland.
yeah.
At the municipal breakfast with Senator Almond last week, there was a lot of discussion about the permitting process and what, that the state needs to really rein things in because it's getting out of hand, and the things that they're requiring, working with PennDOT is difficult, working with DEP is difficult, and so, yes, it's not just us that has the issue.
And also happy to report that in the last month, C.S. Davidson worked to wrap up the survey base mapping required for the McGuinness Airport site. That survey has been delivered to ELA and ECS, and they are going to start working on their parts of the design. So we are moving forward out there.
Awesome.
Okay.
Secretary Treasurer, Mr. Stivers.
Thank you. A few things. One, talking about safety and training. The chief has set up CPR training, retraining, recertification for our staff. So a significant number of, I can say that word, I promise you, significant number of staff are renewing their CPR training this Friday. And in light of what took place here, we've talked about, I just want to thank all the staff that are jumping in to do this. It's important. Important that we can serve this community in all ways possible. And I think, and Adam said it, others have said it, having that ability to jump in and just quickly offer aid to someone who's suffering is an important thing to have. So I'm glad the staff can do it. We're doing the Borough staff on Friday. Jake, have you scheduled yours yet, or it's coming?
It'll be
Okay, so then we're doing separate training down for the Public Works team. So thank you, Chief, for getting that set up for us. It's a good program for all of us to have. I want to bring up another issue, and that is street cleaning. Our street sweeper runs on a consistent basis, and I feel the need to continue to say this. Every now and then people complain that there's trash in the gutter and why isn't the street sweeper running? The trash in the gutter is not the fault of the street sweeper. It's not the fault of borough staff. It's citizens putting trash in the gutter or not putting it in a secure container and getting rid of it. We will keep doing our job. We will keep cleaning the streets. We will keep working hard to keep this community as beautiful as we can. I am sending out a plea to the community to please do your part, to the shopkeepers, to everybody. Let's all work together. This is a team effort. We're going out on the 21st to do a cleanup, but I'm asking everyone to jump in and do your part. If you're walking down, you see something, pick it up, if you can, if it's safe to do so. But let's all do our share. We had a recent case where we caught a family on a video, changing a diaper in an alleyway and just flinging it off to the side. This kind of stuff shouldn't happen. We shouldn't have to deal with this. And again, I'm just asking everyone, let's all do our share to keep it clean. We'll keep running the sweeper. We'll keep doing our share. But I'm asking everyone to do theirs as well. Finally, 750 South 9th Street, we had the closing. That property has been officially sold. So that's one off our books. We talked about 400 locusts today. We're hoping to get a final on that wrapped up here soon. And hopefully we can get to closing on that one. So we're getting things properly moved. And I believe that's all I have. Thank you.
Boards, commissions, and committees. Upcoming meetings. HARB meets tomorrow evening the 12th. Parks and Rec meets Thursday the 13th. The Planning Commission meets on next Tuesday the 18th, and Shade Tree Commission is meeting on Monday the 24th.
Could I add one?
Yes.
Columbia Cat Action Team will be meeting actually in this room tomorrow at 5:30.
All right. Borough Council comments. We'll start Councilperson Brevard.
Sure, I would just like to echo Manager Stivers. Thank you to Chief Brommer for your commitment to the borough. I'm grateful that you've entered the job. I know that perhaps one of the reasons you're sticking with us is to make sure that we are able to bring in another chief to replace you. And that training is important. And I'm a believer, firm believer, that hiring from within is always a better idea than hiring from without. And I'm grateful that you're willing to stick around to make sure that we can find the best candidate within our ranks to take over your position. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all.
Councilperson Fisher.
Nothing.
Councilperson Stoll.
Yeah, just echoing or backing or on top of those comments. The reason I think we all sit around this table is not political in the sense of maybe what politics normally is, but politics, and I believe this is the way it is in many small towns, is about solving people problems and solving problems for the people of that town. And it takes a lot of heart to put your life into it. And thank you for your role, Chief. This town is partly the way it is because of you and people like you, the officers under your command. And, I'm going to pick on some ways of trying to get political power in this. It's not about pitting people against each other. It's not about playing word games to gain a position of power. Being in this position is an honor and a responsibility. I'm proud to serve alongside each of you in pursuing a dream of what we can do to make this town a better place. And so I would just put it out. I commend everyone who is running for council. This is an election year. Thank you for your effort. Thank you for your time. And I would just say this town is moving in the direction of the dream and vision of the people who want to lead it there. And we do that by collaborating, by joining hands and coming up with better ideas that solve problems. And we don't do it by tearing each other apart. And so I'll just leave it there. I am thankful for the leadership that sits around this table on a regular basis. Thank you for your hard service and the heart that comes out here every meeting. We have good discussions. And I know that everyone around this table cares about this town. It's evident. Thank you.
Speak. I want to remind council, you all received the invitation to the Lancaster County Boroughs Association meeting at the end of this month. If anyone wants to go, the meetings are always great. Hopefully I won't have to miss it this time. I won't miss it this time. And if you want to go, let me know. We can carpool. It's in Ephrata, so. What?
You said that last time.
I know, I said that last time. We're supposed to take Joanne and I was in hospital. Just to remind everyone, as Pete said, it is an election year. I double checked with the election office. There are no changes in polling locations for Columbia Borough this year. And I think the election office is still looking for some volunteers for poll workers. So if you have a desire to work the polls, it is a fun day. Reach out to the election office. April Werfler is who's in charge of that, and who coordinates the poll workers. She'll be glad to match you up with someplace that needs help. Announcement of next meeting at 7 p.m. on April. Oh wait, I did have one more thing. Looking forward to the May work session, Mark and I were brainstorming, and we didn't think we had anything that needed to be discussed. So if anyone has anything that you want to discuss that evening, that you want to work on that evening, please let me know as soon as possible. Otherwise, we can cancel that meeting, I guess, if we don't have anything to work on. So just let me know. Next meeting at 7 p.m. on April 25th, council will hold a regular meeting. Could I have a motion to adjourn? I have a motion by Councilperson Price, second by Councilperson Stahl, to adjourn at 7:55 p.m. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? We're adjourned.